Welcome into Week 11 in Nashville. Rain is expected for today's forecast at Nissan Stadium, and the Texans hope to do the same. Rain on the Titans, who are on a 6-game winning streak, the longest active win streak in the NFL right now. In his last meeting with the Titans, Brandon Cooks had 11 catches for 166 yards and 2 touchdowns. He has caught a touchdown pass in 3 straight games against Tennessee. Tyrod Taylor is looking to bounce back after his performance in the loss at Miami. In his other 2 starts this year, Taylor has no interceptions and a 110-plus passer rating. The Texans defense will have to slow down Ryan Tannehill without its sack leader in John Grenard today. He did not make the trip due to an illness. So who will step up in his absence? The answer to that, plus your Texans starting lineups for today and a one-on-one with Titus Howard. Texans Unlimited, presented by Verizon, starts now.
We are ready to rock in Houston.
Touchdown, Houston! Are you kidding? What a catch! Oh, baby!
Welcome into Week 11 and Texans Unlimited, presented by Verizon. I'm DP Sidhu along with my good friend Drew Doherty. The Texans have a big challenge today as they face the Tennessee Titans. It's probably going to be rainy. The Titans are not going to have Derrick Henry. Obviously, he's been out the last 2 games and probably a chunk of the season, but they've got Adrian Peterson. They've got Deontay Foreman, a guy that we know too well. And you know what, Drew? It hasn't slowed them down from winning.
Yeah, it hasn't mattered to this team really over the last few years, no matter what the adversity is. If guys are out, if they're going into a matchup and they're heavily going against a heavily favored opponent, they've been excellent as far as coming up with a win, doing it any way they can. There's a reason they're atop the AFC South by a comfortable margin. It's because they get the job done. It doesn't really matter who they're facing, how they're facing them, and what they're facing them with, because these guys win. You see a former Titan. That's the only former Titan on this team. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ball, you've got 6 former Texans suiting up as players. You've got 5 former Texans coaches who are assistants here, now there in Tennessee, led, of course, by Mike Vrabel. So there's a lot of connections, and yeah, you know, that team used to be here in Houston, and they were called the Oilers. So this is going to be a tough matchup because, yeah, you're right. 2 of those 3 stars that Tannehill can depend on are not going to suit up today in Julio Jones and Derrick Henry, but he still has A.J. Brown. That guy is a lot to handle. And before we kick it over and analyze things, I got to give a shout-out to the Colts. Not those animals from Indianapolis, but the ones that are playing right now in the Tully Bowl, including my son, Robert. He's an 8-year-old. It's flag football. So go Colts. Bring home the title. I'm sorry that I can't be there, but you guys are going to do great. So
I was like, that's so unlike you, Drew, to wish the Colts good luck before a Texans game.
No way.
So
Not those Colts, but the good Colts, the good guys.
I knew there had to be some kids involved with that. And you know what? You mentioned all the connections between these 2 teams. Mike Vrabel, Tim Kelly, they've gone against each other in practice, and they'll go against each other today because this Texans offense needs to get things moving. And, of course, Mike Vrabel looking to keep that number 1 spot in the AFC right now through today's game. All right, let's get into some of your quick hits for the week, some of the top stories. The Titans, they've won their last 2 games without their leading rusher in Derrick Henry. But according to Lovie Smith, losing Titans Derrick Henry does not change how the Titans run their offense. Their identity is still pretty much the same.
I think you have a philosophy. You don't change your philosophy based on one player, even though it's, an MVP type player. They're set up a certain way, and they're going to this next guy up, and that's what we've seen. The guy that replaced him has carried the football a few times too, and I've seen him more than my share of times. We're both from the same area of town, area of the country, area of the state, but that don't give me an advantage with much. But Adrian Peterson is a heck of a player, and not just Adrian Peterson. Their entire stable of running backs fit what they do, so they won't change up much.
The Titans defense presents its own set of challenges. It ranks 3rd in the AFC with 27 sacks through 10 games and 9 interceptions. Quarterback Tyrod Taylor discussed what the offense needs to do in order to bounce back in Nashville.
They're playing great football right now. The team in general, obviously, the defense is a very talented bunch. A lot of energy when you watch them on defense, running to the ball, making plays. Definitely going to boil down to us executing, going out there, obviously taking our shots when we can, but executing up and down the field and finishing in the red zone with touchdowns and not field goals.
And the Texans offense as a whole is looking to bounce back with a win on the road. They've gone 16 quarters on the road without a touchdown. It's a streak that's been frustrating to everyone, particularly offensive coordinator Tim Kelly. He says that there have been some positives that the team can build on in order to get some success and get in the red zone today.
Throughout every game, there's been some stuff that we've been good at, different aspects of running the football. I know the numbers probably don't reflect that, but certain schemes have been more efficient for us than others. Certain styles of genres of the pass game, if you will, have been more successful than others. So, again, it's just all about us being able to go back and identify it and not only identify by the numbers, but going and watching the film and seeing where the breakdowns are and why plays haven't worked and why plays have, and continue to try to find those combinations and eliminate the bad ones and accentuate the good ones.
Texans offense has been in the red zone. They're trying to get into the end zone.
Yeah,
that is. And, end zone, red zone. Anyway, we've got lots of news to get into. Some surprises on the inactives, Drew, which I know that we are going to get into. Why don't you run those down for us?
Yeah, the biggest surprise is Jonathan Grenard. Boy, we didn't. I picked him as the player to watch on Texans Extra Points last night, and it turns out he didn't get to travel with the team. So your best player on defense is not going to suit up for you today. No Jonathan Grenard. He's got 7 sacks in 7 games. He's been playing really, really well. So that's a bummer that he's not going to get to go against this Titans defense because they've been giving up sacks. This Titans offense. They've been giving up sacks. Ryan Tannehill is the most sacked quarterback in the league right now. 29 times he's hit the deck. So no Grenard. Another mild surprise is Jordan Akins was not listed on the practice report, so he is a healthy scratch. You won't see him in the lineup. Therefore, it's going to be Pharaoh Brown, who's back active again for the first time in about 3 or 4 games, Anthony Auclair, who's caught a touchdown pass this year, and the rookie Brevin Jordan. Those are your 3. And then the rest of the names, no big surprises. Watson, of course, not going to play. Neither will Jeff Driscoll, listed as a quarterback there. He has started practicing as a tight end, but on the official inactive report today, he was listed as a quarterback. I know some of you out there were asking, but that's the deal there. Cravon LeBlanc, Royce Freeman, and Davion Davis, the other 3 names on the list. So those are the big ones, Akins and Grenard, and the latter of those, Grenard, big loss. The other guys up front going to have to win their one-on-ones, DP.
Yeah, and we've seen some good things from this D-line. It's pretty deep. Jordan Jenkins obviously stepping up. They've also got Derek Rivers, who they activated from the practice squad. Mm-hmm. He hasn't played a game on the active roster yet. We haven't really seen much of him, so curious to see what he's able to do out there. And then Terrence Brooks, also on the active roster. Yes. He was on IR. He was activated to return, so he'll be back out there as well for the secondary. So a few changes there in the defense, and hopefully they can still get some pressure up front. It's something that this defense has been fairly good at. And there you see Brandon Cooks. He's been fairly good with this playing against the Titans. And last year, final game of the season, 166 yards, a pair of touchdown catches, and hopefully he can connect with Tyrod Taylor today. He's looking to bounce back. He's done pretty well against the Titans in his career against the AFC South. So let's get to some of your burning questions. We got people watching from everywhere. Drew, why don't you give them a little shout out?
We love to hear from our good pal, the German Texan. Hope you're doing great, Christian. Javari is in Miami. And Javari, we haven't heard from you in a while, and we're glad to hear from you, so thank you so much for chiming in. Tommy in Southwest Houston, holding things down. And you see guys kind of bundled up. You see some weather beanies as well as some of the folks who are not suited up in uniform. But Jordan wants to know, how will weather affect both teams on offense? I mean, I don't think it's going to affect them too much. These guys are pros. They've gone through this before. It's not like it's snowing and a downpour. They can play through it. As you see, Nico Collins, he knows a little thing or two about weather. He's played at Michigan over the years, and Texans looking to get good things from him. But DP, weather, I don't think it's a big factor in how things go down today. Do you?
I mean, I don't know. I think it is expected to rain. There's a 100% chance of rain throughout the game. So I think if we see a downpour, it might make things a little tricky for the passers out there. And the run game is something that both teams have struggled with a bit. So it may be a low-scoring affair if it gets pretty gnarly and wet out there. That's just my cursory prediction. But,
gnarly, hold on. Gnarly is a great word. I love the word gnarly. I don't think gnarly is used enough.
I'm bringing it back. I'm bringing back gnarly.
Good pop there in the 80s. People saying gnarly. Lots of surfer dudes saying gnarly. I think we should incorporate gnarly back into the lexicon a little bit more. Okay?
Done.
Good work.
It could be gnarly today. All right, Frank wants to know what's the plan on defense for A.J. Brown, a guy that we don't want to see get gnarly today because he has scored a lot of touchdowns and he has always been able to find success in the end zone. And he's really a bright spot for that Titans offense, even as a rookie. So what's their plan? I mean, they're going to put a lot of different guys in the secondary. They've obviously moved Lonnie Johnson to cornerback. He probably won't play, but they've got Desmond King out there at nickel. They've got their safeties and Eric Murray and Justin Reed, back out there as well.
Mm-hmm.
They have to have a plan for A.J. Brown to slow him down.
No doubt. I mean, I would imagine you're going to see a lot of Terrence Mitchell on him. Terrence is the best corner the Texans have right now, but you're going to need help. I mean, Terrence is a good corner, but anybody needs help going against a talent like A.J. Brown. So, yes, I would imagine Texans mix things up and give whoever's on him a little bit of help. And, Taylor has, speaking of Browns, Taylor has a good question. He's saying, how much should the Texans expect from Pharaoh Brown in his first game back? Well, you see number 85 right there, Pharaoh Brown. Like we mentioned, he has not played over the last few weeks, but he's back. And if he's active, the Texans expect a lot from him. They're not going to throw him out there if they don't think he can do it. So he's your lead dog. As far as tight ends go, you see Brevin Jordan, number 9, catching passes right there. They need some help from him and Anthony Auclair as well. But I think you're going to see the Texans want to include Pharaoh in the offense. And I do believe we're going to see a bounce-back game from Tyrod Taylor. I mean, if you go back and look at the entirety of his career, he never had a game like that, DP. He was never that, I don't want to say careless with the ball, but that mistake-prone with the ball. And I think that gets fixed. I think you see a better performance from your quarterback today.
He's had a couple weeks to think about it, so he's had the entire bye week, and that's never how you want to go into your bye week, thinking about a game or a performance like that.
And you remember after the last game, every single question he was asked, he answered, and it could have been, he answered a variety of questions, but at the end of every single answer, if you go back and look, he said, but I'm going to be better next time, or some variation of that to paraphrase, but I'm going to improve, or you won't see that again. So he's resolute in what he needs to do as far as improving upon what happened the last time he took the field.
Yeah, and he told the wide receivers he took onus of that game on them, but everyone said that they need to do a little bit better. I asked Chris Conley about it this week. He said the wide receivers have things they can do better. There's some inefficiencies, there's some yards they've left on the field. So I think it was a self-scouting week for everybody to sort of get better and help Tyrod. It's not going to be just on him to get better today and perform better. I think everyone's going to have to do a little bit better. You see the team warming up there, getting loose, getting warmed up. You see everybody. You see Nico Collins as well out there, and the running backs, Philip Lindsay, David Johnson there, number 31 over on the end. I mean, it's going to be a big day for everyone to sort of step up for Tyrod. Adam wants to know, Brandon Cooks had 14 targets last week against Miami. How much can we expect Tyrod to look his way this week? Adam, I think whenever Brandon Cooks is on the field, Tyrod Taylor is going to look to him a lot. And I think that there were a lot of instances against Miami where he wanted to get the ball to Brandon Cooks, and maybe he pressed a little too hard to get the ball to Brandon Cooks. So I think they're going to work on their timing a little bit. He feels very comfortable with Cooks. He has said even early on, before he has suffered the injury, that Cooks is a guy that he can sort of throw the ball up, and a ball could be an interception or it could be a catch, but Brandon Cooks, if he's out there, he's going to win those one-on-one battles. So they got to work on their timing a little bit. He's got a lot of confidence in Cooks, and Cooks does. He's the number one receiver on this team. He's your number one weapon. So this is a guy that he's going to see the ball a lot, no matter who they're playing.
Yeah, to boil it down even farther, he's your best player. He's the best player on both sides of the ball. So Adam, I would imagine the Texans are going to look his way quite a bit. You want your best player to make plays, so you want to get him the ball, and you're going to see that. Javari Miami is asking about Lonnie Johnson and will he start at corner. I'd be surprised if he starts. I think you're mainly going to see him on special teams. We saw him on special teams last week. He didn't play a defensive snap, or I say 2 weeks ago. Didn't play a defensive snap against the Dolphins. Doubt he starts at corner. He might play a little bit at corner, but probably not. So you're going to see him, if you see him, most likely on special teams as far as that goes.
All right, one guy you will see today, Titus Howard there, number 71, warming up. He will be starting at guard. Drew had a chance to catch up with him this week in our one-on-one.
This pregame interview is powered by Reliant. We've got offensive lineman Titus Howard with us. Titus, it's always good to be with you. You got a week off. You had the bye. So how necessary was that for you? How necessary was that for this football team, you think?
It's pretty necessary. I needed it. Got a chance to sit back, relax, kick my feet up, just actually rest and spend time with the family. So I enjoyed the bye week. Came back this week feeling so much better.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm ready to go for the second half of the season and to make a push to win some games.
Good stuff. What was the week of practice like after you have a little bit of time to yourself and a little bit of time off like that?
It's always a little bit, like, little stuff you got to pick up on and fix. The first couple of practices getting back from a bye week because you've been off the whole week. But I think as a team, we came out and we attacked this week to get better, and I think we're doing a pretty good job of it.
Yeah. One of the things I know that you guys all want to improve is the run game. It's not just the offensive line. It's not just the running backs. It's a collective effort. How do you jiggle things? How do you make things better there running the football and have a little more success than you had that first half of the season?
I think the biggest thing is being consistent. I say this a lot because that's one of the biggest things I pride on is being consistent. I think as a group, we had to be more consistent up front and just more consistent as an offense. And when we become more consistent and do our jobs each play, the run game will come within its own. And I think that's one job we got to do this Sunday, be more consistent on first, second, and third down, and then it should play out for itself.
In the first week and a half of the season and then leading up to that Dolphins game, you could tell, you guys believe in Tyrod Taylor. There's a different vibe when he's on the field and when he's under center. He didn't play like he normally does, and that's talking about through his whole career in Miami. He's pretty confident that changes. How confident are you guys that changes? Because it looked like it was just one of those hiccups, and it's not something that he normally does, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just one of those days, and Tyrod knows it, and we know it as an offense that we trust him as our quarterback, and we know that when we come back out this Sunday, he can get the job done. And I think the way he carries himself every day speaks for itself, that type of a guy he is and type of player he is, and we know that we can look up to him and play in front of him and know that he's going to carry us to the win.
Yeah, you guys are playing the Titans this Sunday. It's a team you guys know very well. They're a division foe. And lining up across from you, you're going to see a little bit of Jeffrey Simmons. How good a player is he? What sort of challenge is he?
I think he's a very good player. I think that front, actually, all the guys, him, Danico, Harold Landry, and those guys, Bud Dupree, I don't know if Bud playing this week, but I think they have a pretty good talent in front. And Jeffrey, he's the head honcho over there right now. And I'm looking forward to the challenge to block him all game. And I think I can get the job done. Yeah.
It's funny. 3-4 years ago, I was in Nashville that night that you were picked. He was picked a few picks ahead of you. It's funny how y'all's careers are sort of intertwined, hasn't it? I'm pretty sure you're familiar with him. He was a Mississippi State guy. You're from Alabama State.
Right.
What's your recollection of then, and what's your thoughts of kind of how y'all's careers have gone?
Yeah, I've been pretty familiar with him since I came into the league. Like you said, we played Tennessee. They're in our division, so I pretty much known about him the whole time and kept up how he doing. And like I said, I played against him last year, and I think this year he came into himself and he's actually making a name for himself, and I like that. I'm just looking forward for the competition, to get in and show that I can block him, and to show that, hey, yeah, you might have been picked a couple of picks higher than me, but I can get the job done.
You can handle your own. I know it. All right, let's see how you're powering game day. Sleep. How much do you get the night before, say, a noon game? Like, when do you go to bed? When you wake up? What's that like for you?
Me being completely honest, we play at noon. I think we probably had to be at stadium around 9. I probably go to sleep around 10:30.
Okay.
Because what I do is I really can't eat on game days for some reason.
Really?
So what I do is I load up the night before the game. And after I ate all that food, I get tired and stuff. So I just talk to my wife and my daughter for a little while.
Right.
Then I just lay down and go to sleep.
So you keep it light game day as far as eating.
Uh-huh.
What are you listening to as far as music? What do you get ready for the game with?
If I'm being completely honest, I really don't even listen to music before the game.
Okay. Huh.
I mostly just be chilling, just talking to the guys, just trying to get us ready for the game. Have a good vibes going. And when I listen to music, I feel like I'm all by myself, and I'm just trying to be to myself. But I want to, interact with my guys. So when we get out on the field, we just feel like it's a vibe going on, and we'll be pretty chill and cool.
I like it. I hope the vibe is chill and cool and victorious on Sunday.
Sir.
This is good stuff. Titus Howard, best of luck against the Titans. Best of luck the rest of 2021.
Yes, sir. No doubt.
Titus Howard there starting at left guard, along with an O-line that has really, really suffered through a lot of changes this year because of injury. Both of your tackles out, your starting center out, and a lot of mixing and matching. But they like what they saw against Miami, so it's going to be the same starting 5. And that will get us right into our starting lineups. Let's take a look at those starting lineups for the Texans this week. We'll start off with the offense. You got Tyrod Taylor there at quarterback, Phillip Lindsay, David Johnson, your starting running backs. You've got Cooks, you've got Conley, and then starting tight end Farrell Brown, who missed the last 2 games with an injury. And then here's your offensive line, same as it was at Miami. Jaron Christian Sr. at left tackle, Titus Howard there obviously at left guard. Jimmy Morrissey, the rookie, getting his second start in the NFL at center. Justin McCray had slid over to right guard. He'll stay there for today. And then Charlie Heck, second-year player, at right tackle. Let's take a look at your defensive starters.
Yeah, DP, it's kind of the same look, but without a few key faces. You see Jordan Jenkins as the starter there at defensive end in place of Jonathan Grenard. The rookie, Roy Lopez, and Malik Collins there in the middle as Jacob Martin's the other defensive end. And then the linebackers, Cunningham, Hewitt, and Kamru Grugier-Hill. Zach Cunningham playing back in the town where he played his college ball at Vanderbilt, and he is the guy that's wearing the green dot on his helmet. He's the guy getting the signals. He's played pretty well the last couple games. You see your corners, King and Mitchell, and then Reed and Murray are the safeties. And let's talk a little bit about this defense for the Titans because it's very good, DP. My goodness, Harold Landry, he's already in double-digit sacks. Then you got maybe the best guy on their entire defense, Jeffrey Simmons, in the middle there. 7.5 sacks. He's got like 5 of them in the last 2 games combined. He is nasty. You heard Titus Howard talk a little bit about him there, but the Texans have a lot of respect for him. You know, Howard said he's a very good player. They have a talented front. Tyrod Taylor was mincing no words, said he's a very fierce rusher, and he's one of the best in the league. He's a big human being, moves well, very strong. You got to be careful. Last year, Texans were trying for the win, and they threw the pass went into the end zone and went off of Simmons' shoulder pads. He was in the right spot. Didn't necessarily get his hand on it, but he got the ball up in the air and negated what the Texans would have done as far as hoping to get a win there. But you got to be careful because these guys can bring the quarterback down. We didn't even bring up Danico Autry. He has about 5 sacks himself. So excellent, excellent defense, the Tennessee Titans bringing on the field, especially in the front 7. And then at the back end, you got Kevin Byard, who has been an all-pro in the past at safety. He's always around the ball, it seems. Going to be a big test. Big test for Tyrod Taylor and company.
If he's trying to eliminate interceptions today, he's going to be facing Kevin Byard, who's got 5 interceptions
that's a lot,
by himself. He is really off to a hot start this year for this Titans defense. It's really stepped up. And then, Lovie Smith talked about this run game. He said, just because there's no Derrick Henry, let's not forget, there's a guy named Adrian Peterson who he's seen his fair share of growing up throughout the league. And Adrian Peterson's had a lot of success against this Texans team. He's had 2 rushing touchdowns in the last 2 games that he has played against Houston. So this will be his 3rd in a row if he can do it. Texans might have something to say about that. So, and then, of course, Deontay Foreman. We saw him here as a rookie. We saw him early on. He suffered the knee injury.
Flashed,
Never quite got to the potential that they want him to see. Well, people in Tennessee are very excited about what Deontay Foreman brings to this run game and also to the receiving game. Last week he had 2 catches, only 2 catches, but for 48 yards receiving. So he's been a pretty dangerous weapon.
Think about his early days here in 2017. Yeah, he had the one long reception at New England when he kind of got loose there in week 3, I believe it was, and he went up the sidelines and got about 40, 50 yards. And then the next year, he didn't really play much in 2018. And then at the end of that season, he gets in the game against Philadelphia, doesn't do anything at all on the ground, and then squirts loose, gets free for a touchdown catch against the Eagles late in that one. So he can make plays. And you saw it in college at Texas. Deontay Foreman can play. It's just been a matter of consistency and getting it together. And don't forget this, Texans are -3 on the season in turnover differential. Titans are +2 this year. So they're at opposite ends of the spectrum, but you can kind of get them for stuff because Tannehill's been picked off 8 times this year. He's only thrown 12 touchdowns and been picked off 8 times. He's also been sacked, like I mentioned, 29 times. You can get to him. You can get some mistakes out of him, possibly.
Yeah, he did not have an interception last week, so he's up and down there when
it
comes to turning the ball over.
He's due.
You know what else is due? One of my favorite parts of this show, when we do arrival photos. I want to see what people are wearing to the game. Oh, Max Sharping, he's channeling his inner Tennessean country boy with the boots and the hat, all black. He is bringing it for this Titans team, against this Titans team today. And then we got David Johnson in the wine-colored, Merlot-colored suit. He's got the fall colors. I like it.
That's why you're here. I would have just said, that's maroon. You go with Merlot. That's good.
It's brown.
That's good.
It's Merlot. Let's see what some of the other players are wearing today. Ooh, Tyrod Taylor with the bright Kelly green bag with the matching puffer.
You sure that's Kelly green, not
It's a
ectoplasma green?
Kelly green. And Justin Reed, classic sharp suit, pastel jacket.
Yeah.
I guess he still thinks it's not too late for a little pastel. And you know what? He's rocking it. He's rocking it with the thick silver chain, too. I like the accessories. And then Brandon Cooks with the jacket. I like Brandon Cooks. Sometimes he's dressy, sometimes he's casual. Today it's a little bit of casual with the tennies. And maybe it looks like some fall colors in that jacket. So I like it. I like the variation of style that our players
Let's
have.
hope they're wearing victory sweatsuits in about 3.5, 4 hours coming on the flight
On the
home
plane.
and coming up with a win. Does that sound good to you?
That sounds fantastic to me. We are just over 30 minutes until kickoff for the Texans at Nissan Stadium. You can check it out on CBS, also Sports Radio 610. Also, check out HoustonTexans.com. We're going to have all the stories, the highlights, the press conference, post-game reaction, and more. That's all coming up. To everyone that worked on this show, led by Tyler Marcotte, thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a great game day, and as always, go Texans.